Welcome to Polish Insights on Global Affairs with PISM think tank, a go-to source for expert perspective on the most pressing developments in world politics and security. I'm your host, Danuta Isler. And in today's episode, we will be looking at the relationship of one superpower, India, with another, maybe not superpower, but at least a big club, the European Union. And my guest is... who else? One of the best experts on India and India-related matters, at least here, Dr. Patryk Kugiel, Chief Analyst in the Asia-Pacific Program at PISM.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in to share a little bit about what is the relationship between India and the European Union. You have written a few books on the topic. One, India's policy towards the European Union in the post-Cold War era, is coming out pretty soon.
So I can repeat one of the main theses from the book, if you allow me, answering your question. That actually the EU-India relations are the best ever. We have covered a lot of ground over the last 3 decades after the end of the Cold War. The relationship has been already established in the 1960s, but the last 20, maybe even 10 years has been really substantial and transformative for EU-India relations. We realize that India is an emerging player, a global power, and it is one of the most promising and biggest markets. So many European countries were very keen to explore this potential of this market. Therefore, European Union is engaged into negotiations of the free trade agreement, investment protection agreement, geographical indication agreement. We are discussing also with India about the special security partnership agreement. There are many things that are ongoing. So this year, 2025, was actually transformative, historical year for engagement between two countries. At the beginning of this year, the whole European Union Commission went to India. And this is very unprecedented, unlikely move. Hardly wherever European Union sends all commissioners to any other country. So this was historical event. And next historical event will be in January 26th of 2026, when India holds its main national holiday, Republic Day. They will hold this beautiful, very interesting parade, military parade in the center of New Delhi, and they usually have chief guests of honor for this special event. And this year, this chief guest will be the European Union, represented by President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and President of the European Council, Antonio da Costa.
So from what you're saying, it looks like a business aspect of this relation, shall we say, is one of the most important. You mentioned FTA, so free trade agreement. Now, this has been something that has been in the making for many years. So are we closer? We know that there are still contentious issues like energy security, market access, regulatory standards. So can we expect that this Republic Day, come January 26, will give an additional boost to this relationship, especially that the big EU politicians will be there?
That's the plan, and that's what I hope for. Because these FTA negotiations have been ongoing since 2007, so we are almost 20 years advanced.
That's a different reality now that we're talking in.
Very much different, but there is a political will, both in Delhi and in Brussels, and in many European capitals, that we do understand that economic cooperation is not only about economy. It has this strategic security dimension, and we need to strengthen our ties with India because it is heavyweight in the global politics. It is in our interest to have India on our side rather than let it go to join China and Russia to form some anti-Western bloc. We need India, which is still, we might be critical, but it is still the largest democracy in the world. It is at least in theory supporter of the rules-based international order. And it is a supporter of multilateralism. So now, especially, if we are facing so unpredictable relationship with United States, we have enemy, open, hostile country across our eastern border. And we have very huge problem when it comes to economic cooperation with China. Then India seems to be the biggest, the largest country that we can rely on and with whom we can try to save this rules-based international order. So it is not only about economy, it is also a strategic geopolitical decision to have some kind of trade agreement with India.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about. What's really at the core, at the basis of this business-based, in a way, relationship? Because we know that India has been very vocal about its ambitions. It wants to be in the top 3 world economies.
In 2 years, it will be there.
And I'm thinking that maybe the EU is looking closer at India because of China's influence, or countering China's influence geopolitically. Would you say these are the reasons, maybe, or some of the reasons behind this relationship?
Yes, but first of all, the size of the market. India is the only country in the world that can offer this scale of market. Yeah. So if we do not want to be dependent on China, what else can we do?
We can't go to Russia anymore.
We can't go to Russia. Other countries are smaller, yeah, considerably. Indonesia, 250 million people. Yeah? I don't know, Nigeria, 250 million.
So there's no
Brazil.
Comparison between over a billion and a couple hundred million. So
well, India has this demographic dividend, this demographic potential. It is fastest growing big economy, 6.5% for the next couple of years.
A lot of young people, right?
A lot of young people, a lot of this kind of ambition, entrepreneurship and innovation, etc. Yeah? India can be a partner for Europe when it comes to digital economy, space exploration, biotechnology.
Yes, they already, yes.
Many different areas, yeah, and they are facing the same problems. If Europe don't want to diversify away from China, which is reasonable goal, then we need to find another alternative market. So therefore, it is so important from our point of view to get easier access to Indian market, to get better protection for our investments. So this makes that the negotiations of this ongoing negotiations of these agreements are high stakes negotiations, yeah, because if we will get better access to India, it will be beneficial for European companies and for technological advancement. Yeah, we are lacking these highest, most modern technologies, the same like India. But if we join forces, then we can do much faster progress.
And is there unanimity within the European Union? Are all countries more or less on board? Like we know that if there are certain decisions voted on, for example, regarding the war in Ukraine, there may be voices, counter voices of, let's say, Hungary or Slovakia. What about India? Are all countries on board within the EU?
I think there is general agreement that we need to get closer to India. From Portugal, from Lisbon to Poland to Budapest, yeah, everyone is on board, yeah, because we do not have any issues with India apart from one, yeah, very obvious, that we do not see eye to eye when it comes to Russia and war in Ukraine. But we set it aside. We agreed that we can disagree on this very important issue because there's some more at stake. Yeah, we need India for bigger reasons. Yeah, so we don't want to spoil our relationship and create another enemy because of the war in Ukraine. India has its own reasons why it behaves in a way it behaves. Yeah, we don't like it, but we learn to accept it.
Yes.
So when it comes to the FTA negotiations, everyone is supportive. I think in October there was a new strategy towards India adopted by the European Council, and they accepted the deadline, the goal that we need to conclude these FTA negotiations by the end of this year. It looks uncertain, but probably by the 26th of January 2026, the deal somehow, in one form or the other, the deal might be signed. And then, obviously, we will see what is inside this deal, and then different countries may came forward with some objections and concerns and doubts, etc. Then we will see whether the deal with India will have the same difficulties like the deal with Mercosur. Yeah, but that's maybe for another discussion. But I believe that we need to be aware that every agreement creates losers and winners. And it is in this context we need to look at the larger picture.
Picture.
What on balance? Okay, everyone will not be satisfied with this deal, yeah. But on balance, we will gain from this more, or we will lose. I believe we will gain more.
Hopefully. So we're looking forward to see what's going to happen on January 26, 2026. Our guest in this episode of Polish Insights on Global Affairs with PISM was Dr. Patryk Kugiel. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.